6:30. I was looking at that clock, but I guess that clock is wrong. So it is actually 6:30. So we'll get this party started. Thank you for coming to the new location. This again, because it's our first time, we're just kind of feeling things out. It was easier not to move the tables, but I'm hoping that you guys do like sitting at a table because that's less we have to do once everybody leaves is putting them back. But anyway, and then we have the food is in the other room. So Jeff, did you want to go ahead and announce our speaker?
I'd be delighted. I need the talking. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on to it.
I sure.
Would you? Okay, everybody can hear okay?
Yep.
All right, we have had the pleasure of hearing Eric Bitner before in this august assembly. He spoke to us about his recommendations for trees of different sizes in Indiana, not too long ago. Great presentation. I've also heard him speak about trees at the Great Scott Tree Training, in the Tree Stewards Training at Scottsburg. Eric is well qualified to do so. He has worked for 20 years in the DNR Division of Entomology and Plant Pathology, taught adjunct biology at Indiana University Southeast for 10 years. He has been a certified arborist and an Indiana accredited horticulturalist for 13 years. Eric also owns 5 Saplings, which is a tree consultation firm, and he's the arborist for the city of Clarksville. He also serves with me on the Jeffersonville Tree Board, where we have come to rely on his expertise and his calm advice. It's a pleasure to work with Eric and always to hear what he has to say to us. Tonight, he's speaking to us about new and invasive plant pests, and we look forward with interest to what he has to say to us. Welcome, Eric. It's great to have you here with us.
All right, let's see if that's high enough up and works. Can't hear myself, so can you hear me out there?
Yeah.
And I can talk loud and project as well, so. Well, thank you all for having me. It has been a while since I've spoken to you all, but I do recognize a lot of you, so it's good to see everybody. Are we clear on Zoom? Everybody able to hear on Zoom?
Can you
Perfect.
hear him? Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, good, thanks.
Well, when everyone sees DNR, of course, everyone thinks about hunting or state parks and such. So I just wanted to give a quick overview on what all the DNR does and kind of where our division fits in. Our division of entomology and plant pathology is actually the oldest standing division within the DNR. We were started in the late 1800s, and generally most of what our work is done in the division is done in the Department of Agriculture in every other state. Arizona and Indiana are the only ones that have it in their Department of Natural Resources. And there's some reasons for that, but we've established a great relationship with underneath the umbrella of the DNR, and we work really closely with the Division of Forestry. But I just wanted to show you, we have a new director that serves at the pleasure of the governor. So generally the director changes when there's an administration change. And then we have different teams. We have a regulatory team, a land management team, administrative and legal. And the ones that you've probably heard of, the specific divisions are going to fall in between regulatory and land. So we fall underneath the regulatory division because we actually have regulatory authority. I'll explain what that is in a bit, but same as like division of water or mine reclamation and any historic preservation. But then we also have the land management teams that you're all possibly familiar with Falls of the Ohio, Charlestown State Park, falls underneath those, Fish and Wildlife, Forestry. And then of course we have to have administration. There's a whole lot of admin work that has to happen and a whole lot of legal work that has to happen as well. And most people know of law enforcement or conservation officers, and they kind of fall outside of these 4 teams and kind of have their own hierarchical structure within law enforcement. So we are the oldest standing division within the DNR, and we are the smallest division. There are 12 of us. Oh, it didn't connect. Gina was going to help me figure out how to make this connect somehow. It's not advancing.
Did you click on the screen? Like on the little screen that has the presentation?
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah.
It'd be great. Oh, this does work. Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Nice job, Karen.
Oh,
Yes,
you're
so our
welcome.
division.
You're welcome.
We have 12 of us that work across the state, and these are our regions that we work in, and this can be found on our website if you want to look for some reason. But here's a territory that I cover down here in the I area and the lighter green color. But what our division does is we're mainly field staff. We only have a division director in Indianapolis and one administrator. There's only 2 people that work out of our central office in Indianapolis. Everyone else is field staff. And what our main division tasked to do is to work to manage plant pests, because we want to preserve and protect all of Indiana's lands, whether it's forested land or urban agriculture land. We want to facilitate trade. I'll talk about that. And we want to just make sure that we're managing any of these new invasive pests that I'm going to be talking about for the rest of the evening. So what do? We mainly work with nurseries that are either growing and selling their own plants or buying in plants and then reselling them. So think of like the big box stores, or think of growers. There's a ex-grower here in your midst that I used to inspect back in the day. One of the premier water plant growers in southern Indiana is here in the back. And we really don't have any good people that grow water plants anymore now that they've closed out. But there's maybe a few that try still. But people who grow their own plants and sell them, and we only regulate anything that's woody or perennial. We do not regulate annuals and we do not regulate vegetables. So if you're selling those anywhere, or you know of anybody that's selling those at like farmers markets, they don't fall underneath our jurisdiction. It has to be hardy within Indiana. We also work with the apiary industry, anyone who works with bees. So we have a bee specialist within our division that goes and works to survey for bee pests, diseases, as well as works with a lot of the local bee clubs throughout the state. We also work to inspect plant-based goods for trade. So anything that's going overseas, that overseas receiving country has regulations and says we don't want X or Y coming in on this or that plant. So we go and actually do the inspections for logs, lumber, tobacco, veneer, popcorn, any types of live plant seeds. If it's processed, if you put it into like microwave popcorn, that's processed. We don't inspect that. But Indiana is the largest popcorn exporter in the United States. I was just at 2 popcorn facilities looking at their stuff today as they're shipping out to all over the world, from Ukraine to Indonesia to Vietnam to Brazil, all over. The small little company that exports a ton and tons, literally tons of popcorn across the globe and across the United States. And we also have 2 of 3 veneer facilities in the whole United States that work specifically with aircraft. So, and they're here in our territory in Clark County and Floyd County, and they make high-end veneer for Gulfstream, Taylor Swift's planes, presidential planes. They actually build and make the veneer here in southern Indiana. So we inspect that before it goes overseas. Then of course we're a hardwood state. We export a lot of hardwoods as well. So we have to look at all that products before they go overseas. We try to regulate firewood too, because firewood can be a movement of a lot of these pests. So state parks put a ban on firewood coming in, and we're the ones, because we have regulatory authority, then go in and make sure that that's handled correctly. And then of course, any of these new pests that we're going to be talking about tonight, we work to do a whole host of surveys for any types of pests. We work with vineyards, we work with the box stores, the growers, along railroad tracks, rest stops where point of entries may be for these pests, because we're trying to figure out, are these pests here already? Because the earlier we detect something, the more we can perhaps do for it. So that's where talks like this are super helpful, is I'm going to hopefully give you some information about new and emerging pests that we're looking for as you're out and about. We need more eyes, because I said there's only 12 of us out in the field doing the work. We cannot see everything that is out there. And then of course we have some special programs that we work with. Spongy moth is not in southern Indiana, it's in northern Indiana, but it is over in Cincinnati. We work with the Division of Forestry to survey for that and treat for that. Spotted lanternfly, we will spend the last part of the talk on spotted lanternfly. That is going to be the biggest, newest, probably the pest that's going to be coming into our neighborhood sooner than later, unfortunately. We also work with hemlock woolly adelgid. It's a pest on hemlocks, and we have a beautiful set of hemlocks that go throughout the Hoosier National all the way up into I just drew a blank. Shade State Park up in the western side of the state, and then kudzu. So, all right, that's enough about the history of the DNR in case you wanted to know what we do. Let's talk about some specifics. So kudzu. Kudzu is a problem in the South, anyone in the South has seen it. Even if you go just across the river into Kentucky, it climbs telephone poles, power lines. We have it in Indiana. It's been introduced into Pennsylvania. They thought it was going to be a great feed source for cattle and goats because it's in the legume family, which would be peanuts and onions. But it's a very large problematic plant. So it has these three. We'll give you a little bit of description about what they look like too if you're not familiar with kudzu and any of the other species we talk about. But it has this trifoliate leaf, 3 sections to the leaf. If you see an area that's covered in vines, it's possibly going to be kudzu, but there are some other lookalikes I'll show you. And then it has this beautiful purple flower that is very, very fragrant that blooms in the fall. But it is very, very problematic. The vines start as these little green vines that are very hairy or pubescent, and then they turn woody, and they have these hairs on the vines. That's one way to find them. They send out these runners as well. So there could be a large root collar, and then you just see all of these vines going out on the forest floor, and then they shoot up a tree. So you have to be very, very diligent when you're trying to treat in an area that has you to really try to find those crowns and seek out and destroy those crowns. Here's some lookalikes. So poison ivy can look alike. It has 3 leaves, but of course it has the red stem and it has serrated leaves or toothed leaves versus these are going to be smooth on the outside for kudzu. So poison ivy could look like it. We do have wild grape as well in Indiana that can climb up and destroy a lot of woodlands as well. Hog peanut is also in Indiana, but it's going to have a much smaller, delicate flower, and it's not going to be as woody. It's not going to be quite as woody of a stem when it gets older. Burr cucumber is a native plant, but you're going to have these little cucumber looking like burrs in the center of them, and they're going to look like a cucumber when they're growing. They're very viney, and the vines are going to be hollow when you touch them or squish them, just kind of like your anything in your squash family. And then more, this could be another lookalike. So if you do see kudzu, we are tracking kudzu. We want to know where it is. We have an active treatment program to try to beat back kudzu. It is ultimately the responsibility of the homeowner whose property that it's on to control it. However, we are trying to beat it back, and we do have some funding that we're given in order to try to hire a contractor and try to go out on our own and control it. So we know of 226 sites. All of those sites can range in between 1/4 of an acre to some of them are 6 or 10 acres in size. So we have about 250 known acres that we've mapped within the state in about 45 counties. And a lot of people thought that it wouldn't be winter hardy. Well, it's lived all the way up in LaPorte and Lake County, which still is a lot cooler and even a different growing zone than here in southern Indiana. But we have been treating from the north south, trying to take care of it. And we've been treating since 2006. And we go to those same sites multiple years because it takes so long, which again, if any of you, which I know some of you are involved in the local SISMAs, the cooperative weed management groups that go out and try to do garlic mustard poles or other type of invasive control, you well know it takes a long time to try to beat back some of these invasives, or even just weeding your own garden. You know, it's a problem to get back weeds that you don't want. So we're diligent in trying to control it. And we would love it if you know where any kudzu is, and we have a map that we have. And I could match it up and see if it's in a location that we already know of. But if there's a new location, that would be fantastic to know about. So feel free to ask any questions about anything as we're going along. I'm more than happy to engage you all here. We'll probably have to wait for the Zoom ones to the end, and we'll answer your questions on Zoom, but feel free to go ahead and put those in the chat as you're going along. So, yes.
Yeah, is the ed map, is that the best way to report?
Sure,
Kudzu? Okay,
EdMaps is a
Okay.
great way, or you could just write, Will Drews. If you go onto our division webpage, Will Drews out of the Bloomington field office is the gentleman who manages the kudzu program. And if you shoot him an email and a location, he has access to the known map and they'll shoot it back to you real quickly. I have access to it too. I could also help you if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
If it happens to be in one of these counties down here. But yeah, we would like to know. And EdMaps is a great tool with which to report any type of insect, plant, invasive, and we can help look for that. Yes,
Is the vines, winter hardy? Or do they die back some?
they die back. Yep, they die back.
All the way to the,
Not all the way to no. You'll still have large standing woody stems that'll be up in the trees over the winter. Yeah. Yeah, those new vines do not grow up.
can you cut them off and treat them with, glyphosate?
You can, that will make them a little bit more angry. You would need to use something like triclopyr. Triclopyr is the active ingredient, and there's a triclopyr 4 that would be appropriate to use. But you would want to cut it and spray it immediately. You don't want to go through, cut it and come back and spray. That's the way it is with all plants, because those cells will seal up pretty quickly. And if you come back even 5 to 10 minutes later to treat any woody stem that you cut, you're gonna have a problem. So.
Could you do basil bark on it?
You could do basil bark. Triclopyr 4 is great for basil bark. You can find those crowns and spray them, and then it will move down into the root systems and kill the roots. Yes, you can do a foliar spray, or you could treat the stems. Yeah, yeah, both are appropriate. All right, the next invasive plant that we have is tree of heaven, and you're probably wondering, of course we have tree. Why do I need to look for that? This isn't new, but I'll explain here in a minute. So this actually came in the late 1700s. You have both male and female trees. So in the plant kingdom, sometimes plant species have male and female parts on the same tree or plant, and others don't have individual male and female. So the Forest Service has really targeted, because of this. You can actually see the female trees from the air in a helicopter. So we sometimes do helicopter surveys in conjunction with the U.S. Forest Service. We find clumps of where they're at, and then they can send in people to go treat them because they're easily visible, the females from the air. And that's because they're doing a lot of harvests on those Forest Service lands. And as soon as you do a forest harvest, if you're not managing that forest, those ailanthus jump up and really become problematic and invade that local area. So you can tell that it's an ailanthus by the seed pods, but you can also need to look and understand that there could be male species there as well. That won't have seeds, but the stem and the trunk looks kind of like a cantaloupe rind. It's going to have a really smelly smell to it that smells like rancid peanut butter if you cut into it. And you're going to see no serrations on the leaf edge, which means there's no like edges. It's going to be smooth, but it's going to have this little auricle or little ear shape on the lower portion of the leaf, and that's what's going to distinguish it from some of the lookalikes. I'll just jump to the lookalikes here real quick. So here would be sumac. So we have a lot of what are called compound leaves, which have multiple leaflets on them. But of course, you see all these serrations on the edge of the sumac. The walnut is going to be a little bit hairier and has tiny serrations, and they're going to be more almost opposite of each other. But the tree of heaven has this little auricle or this little ear like section on the lower leaf, is how you can tell from the leaves. But they're very aggressive. They produce these large colonies. So you have a mother tree and she sends down roots into the soil and then sends up a whole lot of babies throughout the whole area. And then the females produce a lot of seed, and you can get a whole large section of ailanthus trees in an area. They're very weak trees, so they'll blow over in the wind, or if they start to die and get infected with a fungal disease that there is in that can keep it a little bit at bay. They fall over, but they're what are called allelopathic. So you're probably familiar with that in the idea of walnut trees. You don't want to plant your garden under walnut trees because that jug in that the walnut tree will stop anything else from growing. So plants are very defensive of their growing space, and some of them have chemicals that they can put out into the soil to kind of stand their ground and put up their defense mechanisms. And that's the term allelopathic. Same thing with tree of heaven. They're gonna send this chemical into the soil and they're gonna stop everything else from growing to give their new seedlings an advantage.
Is that only while that plant is alive that it's putting that out, or is the soil affected long after it's gone?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. I would imagine the dead tree is not putting the chemical out, but how long does that chemical stay residual in the soil? I hadn't thought about that, so I don't know. Why I'm telling you about this is because they're typically in industrial areas or along railroad tracks. They can be obviously in the forested area, but they're along railroad tracks. So here you have railroads going by and this kind of this junky land looking area, and you have tree of heaven there. And why is that important? Is because, and here's another junky area. This is us treating for spotted lanternfly. That's why we care about Ailanthus, is because spotted lanternfly, which we'll get to at the very end, needs to feed on this tree as part of its life cycle. So we're looking for tree of heaven in order to then look for spotted lanternfly. And then we're looking for tree of heaven in order to then try to wipe it out as best as possible in order to try to reduce the populations of spotted lanternfly. Here's somebody who even thought their tree of heaven was a great yard tree and put some rocks around it to protect. I'm spraying to kill insects on that tree. I'm not spraying to kill that tree in someone's front yard. Just to be aware.
So do you use Garlon to control that?
You can use Garlon, which is triclopyr. The active ingredient is triclopyr in there. Garlon 4 would be a good basil spray for that. Yeah. And then you can just see this is all just tree of heaven throughout here.
That last one, that was the original tree from 1780, whatever, right?
That's a big one. Yeah, that's a very big tree. There's a couple big trees I found in the urban areas here in Jeffersonville and Clarksville and New Albany as well.
So that colored, those colored leaves.
Uh-huh.
Are
This
those?
kind of color right here you're talking
Yes,
about? Yeah.
yes, that's tree of heaven. That's what it looks like in the spring, or is that what?
Those are the seeds of a
Those are the
female
seeds.
tree.
Oh.
They're gonna have the pink color. So this is gonna be in the fall. This is August, September, October, that this shot was taken at. And you're gonna see the kind of yellow / pink of the flower pods in the fall time, late summer, fall. Yep, great question. So we're actually surveying, and we have known locations of tree of heaven that we've been surveying since about 2018. We were just trying to look within urban areas for tree of heaven. We were also doing this in conjunction with a walnut survey, looking for another pest that was on walnuts, and we were just combining this as we were driving streets. But then now we've really become more aggressive at whenever we're driving around, we have a map on our phone, and whenever we see tree of heaven, we're supposed to stop and mark it. But when you're on a highway, you don't always stop. And then you go to the railroads and Jeffersonville, Clarksville, and you're like, oh, there's 100 of them here. So you just maybe put a point and just say, hey, there's 100. So not all of these dots represent an individual tree. They could represent a colony as well. Because again, we're trying to figure out once spotted lanternfly comes into your local municipality, we already have a known set of trees that we can then go to begin treatments, or tell you and your tree boards or whomever to say, as a municipality, these are the trees that would be helpful for you to start treating, because you're going to find spotted lanternfly on them, which we'll get more into spotted lanternfly here as we go along. But we've been surveying for tree of heaven. All right. Any questions about tree of heaven?
Was that spot in northern Clark County, Clark State Forest?
On this map?
I mean, I live in Henryville, so that's really close.
That actually is Henryville. Yeah.
That's your
Yeah.
yard.
That's Yes, now that I remembered, I did this survey in Henry in 2021 and marked the trees in Henryville. Yeah, that's Henryville. All right. Another pest. So boxwoods are already susceptible to lots of different pests. We all know that there's boxwood psyllids. They're out right now. If you want to treat for them, that little white, little fuzzy thing, you could treat for those. Boxwood mites, boxwood leaf miners. You already have these three pests that are natural to our environment, so to speak. But boxwoods aren't really natural to the US anyway. They're from Europe and have been brought in. And they actually grow as trees in the understory in Europe. So this is called the box tree moth because we've pruned our boxwoods and selected our boxwoods to make them look nice and shaped and prune them into whatever shape we want. But it's actually a naturally growing tree. So this is a new pest called the box tree moth, native to East Asia, and it's become a very serious pest within Europe and has decimated a lot of the high-end European castle gardens that have boxwoods. It was found then in 2018 in Toronto. And then in Toronto, a lot of people are producing plants to then being shipped out throughout the United States. That's why you have nursery inspectors like myself to try to go and either make sure that pests aren't coming in or we inspect plants. Accidentally, a nursery in Ontario shipped in to 6 different states infested boxwoods. And then that's where we have what are called trace forwards. So that information then gets sent out to those states. And then the big bosses send it out to us field staff, and then we go and knock on the door of whomever got those boxwoods and say, hey, do you still have them? Did you sell them all? If you did sell them, do you happen to know if it was maybe a large landscaper that we could go and look at to see where they put them? And then we would try to destroy those plants if we do find them that were infested or give treatment options. So we're still surveying for this pest and we look for it annually. It is in Michigan and Ohio. So the box tree moth feeds on the foliage of boxwoods. It's a caterpillar. It's easily controllable. Caterpillars are fairly easy to kill with insecticides. It's just the fact that you won't notice it until all of a sudden perhaps your boxwoods are defoliated because they just come with such large populations that they end up then feeding on all the leaves and then they start feeding on the stems and then they girdle those stems and end up killing them. So right now we're about here. The caterpillars have been in a resting phase, overwintering, and now they're starting to develop. They've already noted develop in the finds, developed caterpillars, moving around in the area in Ohio. And then they turn into a moth. But there's several generations per year. So you're going to see caterpillars and moths throughout the year. So whenever an insect has multiple generations per year, they're just a little bit harder to control because you're not sure where within that life cycle that caterpillar is. So once you need to start treating in April, you have to keep treating until September if you have boxwoods that you're trying to preserve from the box tree moth. So here's an egg mass that's underneath a boxwood leaf, and you see how blown up this is. You all know what a boxwood leaf is. It's no bigger than my thumbnail. They're small. So you have these translucent egg masses, and then here's a very, very young caterpillar that's coming out. And they're going to be down in the foliage, and they're going to be hiding because obviously they're trying to stay alive. They don't want to be eaten by any birds or any other critters. And then they start feeding, and as they get larger, they just end up defoliating boxwoods. So here's a blown up picture. They have a black head and these black stripes on the side with this kind of olive green colored stripe down their back. And then they get larger and they turn into more of a green with, again, still the black stripes are on the side and the black head capsule. And this is the only caterpillar that looks like this that's going to be on boxwoods. So if you see a caterpillar on boxwoods, it's most likely going to be the box tree moth. We do not have this in Indiana at the moment, but this is what happens. This is over in a park in Ohio that we've gone and visited as our staff just to see what it looks like so we can be prepared and know how to survey for it in our landscapes. And this is what happens in late June, July. It just defoliated completely, these boxwoods.
Doesn't that caterpillar look a lot like a catalpa?
It can, but it's going to be much smaller. So the catalpa is going to be meatier and thicker. and is gonna generally just be on the catalpa trees and not gonna be hanging out in your boxwoods. But you're right, as far as the similarity, yep. You're probably not gonna see the moths, but if you do, they're really not that great. They're gonna be white or gray, like most other moths that are out there. So, but if you do happen to see a white moth on a boxwood, perhaps you should look farther in and see if there's any caterpillars, or give us a call and we'll come out and take a look. There are some lookalikes to these moths, but again, moths are very hard to identify, so just letting you know that there are lots of other moths that do look like the box tree moth that could be out there. The caterpillar is going to be more easily identifiable. And even if we do find one on a boxwood, we have to send it into an identifier within the USDA for them to be able to verify it, because it's a regulated pest. So here's where it is in Ohio. So of course it's right on our border. So Indiana's right here on the edge. It came into Hamilton and Claremont, and then now it's moved through the rest of these counties. This is Cincinnati area. Hamilton County is Cincinnati. And then it's up in the lake area, which, does anybody know what happens up in this area that may affect Indiana? This is the nursery capital of Ohio. All of the nurseries tend to be up here on the lake, and they ship all their boxwoods throughout the United States. So we have implemented an agreement with Ohio. Any shipment of boxwoods that comes out of Ohio into Indiana must be treated, and we must be alerted. So I'm getting emails every day that boxwoods are arriving at this store, that store, and they've been treated. We then need to just go out and take a look at them and make sure that that's true or not. But obviously I can't get to all of them because there's hundreds of stores that are selling boxwoods throughout Indiana and even my territory. And then this is Michigan. So here's Toledo, Ohio. This is Ohio. Till then you get right here in this corner is Indiana. So we have counties that are fairly close within Michigan as well, 20 miles from the border. So we have traps set up both of those areas of the state looking for box tree moths, and then we're going through all of our nurseries every year. Whenever we're on site, we happen to see boxwoods, we take a little bit extra time to look for box tree moth and boxwood blight. So there's another issue with boxwoods that's a disease, a fungal disease that's called boxwood blight. It was identified in 2011, and it's going to cause these fungal leaf spots on the leaves of boxwoods, and then it's going to kind of move through, because fungal diseases like to move through on water or wet rain, so either the irrigation or the rain on the boxwoods, and kind of wipe out your boxwoods. So about, was it 3 or 4 years ago, we had the hard frost, and a lot of people's boxwoods suffered. A lot of landscapers in southern Indiana thought we had boxwood blight at that time, and told a lot of people they did. But we do not at the moment have it identified in southern Indiana. It's been identified in Indianapolis in a garden, but it has not been identified in southern Indiana, and we're looking for it actively. It may be in your landscape and we don't know it because nobody called, or maybe just pulled off your boxwoods out and just threw them away. But we have not found it in the nurseries yet.
Does it kill the whole plant, or?
It'll kill the whole plant. Yep. I guess I didn't have pictures of, I didn't put in more pictures, I'm sorry, about boxwood blight, but you're gonna see these black lesions. So here's a boxwood leaf, and you're gonna see this black leaf lesion, and then it's gonna go into the stem, and the stem's gonna be black. Because we do have some other diseases that are on boxwoods, volutella, but it's gonna be kind of pinkish and orangish when you flip over and see little bubbles on the leaf. And we do have so we have 2 other diseases on boxwoods that are just naturally occurring in our environment. So we would need to take a sample and send it up to the lab at Purdue to identify for sure. But to my knowledge, it's not been identified in the lab from southern Indiana. But again, it could be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Question about the box tree moth, like,
Yes.
is it feeding or affecting other plants other than boxwoods?
Just boxwoods.
Okay, so they're not native, so
That's right.
if we get rid of boxwoods.
Yeah. And caterpillars are very easy to control. There's a lot of either hard insecticides that perhaps you may not want to use, or soft insecticides that are some naturally occurring products that just kill caterpillars. BT or spinosad are naturally occurring products that can kill caterpillars very easily. I wouldn't say to go and proactively start treating all your boxwoods for box tree moth, just to go out and spray something, make sure that it's actually there before you start spraying. But it's throughout the United States. That we found it out in California and Washington. And again, we did find it in a garden in Indianapolis, but we haven't seen it anywhere else. All right, another new interesting pest, elm zigzag sawfly. So sawfly is a type of insect pest, and this one specifically is from Asia and only feeds on elms, both native and introduced elms. So like Zelkovas or the hybrid elms that people plant in a lot of street areas. So it's going to be this small little translucent green caterpillar, and you're going to see this very distinct zigzag feeding pattern, and hence where it gets its name, the elm zigzag sawfly. It lays its egg mass on the backside of the elm leaves, and then this is what the adult looks like. This is blown up pretty large. It's a very small flying insect that you're going to see most likely the damage of the zigzag, and then perhaps you'll flip it over and maybe see the caterpillar itself. So this was found last year in Indiana, in Bloomington. It's not been found anywhere outside of Monroe County at the moment, but it can defoliate mature trees from what we've heard. This was just found on a set of trees that had come in from Wisconsin and had been planted into the landscape. And we then found it, just somebody called in and said it was a strange feeding pattern on an elm. So again, your observations are super helpful as you're out there and see something, because again, we can't be everywhere, and it's very, very helpful. And this is the last map they've updated from 2023, because it was introduced into Canada in 2020, Virginia 2021, Wisconsin and Minnesota, they found it in 24. And then of course, as I mentioned, we found it in one location in one county in Indiana in 2025. But we are going to be on the lookout for this guy. So again, it has those zigzagging feeding patterns. You're going to have a dark band across the head capsule of the caterpillar. And it's going to be very easy to control if you see it in time, because again, it's a caterpillar and there's horticultural oils that can smother them, or there's some naturally occurring products like spinosad, or then you could use anything in the pyrethroid. I'm moving a little bit faster because I want to make sure I talk enough about spotted lanternfly and have time for questions as well. But if you have questions about elm zigzag sawfly, it's just something we're looking for within the last 6 months, and we would enjoy it if you would start looking at any elms as well. And if you see that feeding pattern, let us know. Elongate hemlock scale. So this is a pest that's from Japan and China, and it loves hemlocks, it loves spruces and firs. It can be found on lots of different conifers. It was introduced in the late 1900s into New York, but it had not been in Indiana until the last several years. We've started to see a large uptick in any holiday greenery that gets shipped in to any of the box stores. So the Christmas tree growing industry has changed over time. We're losing some of the older, small Christmas tree farms that have decided to shut down or not pass on to the next generation. And it's just cheaper to go and buy a bunch of trees that are grown in North Carolina, is where they tend to be growing in the hills, and they grow a ton of Fraser firs. They ship them into Indiana, and they don't regulate that pest in North Carolina. They don't care that it's there because it's there. Of course, the Christmas tree growers do care a little bit because it lowers the overall health of the tree, because this insect as a scale is on the back side of the needle. This is with a hand lens. So this is one individual needle, and these are the individual insects that are called scales. So scales are insects that stick their mouth parts into the plant and then kind of feed, but then they cover themselves with this waxy cuticle. So insects have the outer shell is chitin. It's a waxy thing. Like if you think about any type of insect, a cicada is kind of crunchy. Well, this insect covers its body with this chitin, this cuticle, Therefore, it's not gonna be as susceptible to any predators or any chemicals that are applied to the tree. So it's very, very difficult to control. And it has multiple generations per year. But here's a branch of a hemlock, and in the very backside, so this is flipped over on the backside, and it's perhaps difficult to see from where you're sitting, but all of this white area is all kinds of scales. There's thousands of them on this branch. So these are coming in on all of the Christmas tree greenery and Christmas tree trees. They get shipped in and sold at the box stores. It's the same thing with the boxwood reeds that are sold as well. They actually brought in boxwood blight into Indiana one year. We found out and destroyed all those. Unfortunately, I've had to destroy a lot of Christmas trees in garden centers right before Thanksgiving. So I pretty much go every other year because I hate to go every year and be the Grinch who stole Christmas. But we literally had to destroy the whole shipment of evergreens in one big box store within my territory. So they just don't like to see me coming, which I completely understand. I don't like to go. Who wants to have to destroy a bunch of Christmas trees? But it's not in Indiana. Actually, sorry, we did detect it in 2025 in the natural environment. We were doing another hemlock survey, but it's not well known or widespread within Indiana. Yes.
When you destroy them, do you just burn them and that's enough to get rid of them, or how do you do that?
Yes, we made them put them in a dumpster, and I watched them be chipped. We ran them off a chipper. And then they had to compost it. So that because they're such large trees, generally if we go in and destroy a plant, we usually double bag and put it into a dumpster. And that double bagging can seal stuff up. But I mean, literally there were Christmas trees piled up this whole side of the room at this box store, and then the reeds. So we just settled on, let's just haul a chipper in, chip it, and then let's just go compost it up the hill at a compost facility.
Who suffers the economic loss?
That's the problem as well. So the way that the box stores have set up their structures is generally it's an outside vendor that owns the plant material. And then as soon as it gets scanned, percentage goes to the box store, percentage goes to the grower. So that's where you'll see folks in purple outfits throughout all of the large box stores. Bell Nurseries is the company that brings in and helps to monitor the plants that are there, and they're their plants. The Christmas trees are the same way. The grower ships them in, and as soon as they're scanned out, a percentage goes to the box store, a percentage goes to the grower. So that grower is the one who suffered, because he wanted to come and pick them up and ship them down into Kentucky, because Kentucky doesn't care about this. We do, but Kentucky doesn't. And Kentucky's worse off than we are. They have 4 inspectors throughout the whole state. So it just depends on what. Yeah, we're neighbors and we're trying. I told them to go look at their box stores because it was a box store here along the river that is in the same distribution area as that box store over there. And they're like, okay.
You chip this up and then you compost it, but doesn't, is
that enough?
Yes, it can, because you're then drying out that plant material. And if you're composting it, there's enough heat, hopefully, to help break up that life cycle.
Okay.
But yeah, without actually going and making sure that they heated everything up in the compost, it is difficult. So we've managed pests in different ways. Like I said, we've actually taken them to incinerators. Is there a bottle of water perhaps? Someone? Thank you. So we managed to destroy plants in lots of different ways, and it just depends on what the pest is and what our director feels is a threat. So she felt that this was the best way to manage this pest with this large of an infestation.
What should you do with the cut tree that you buy for yourself when you're taking it out of the house? Should you burn it or just look
Like
at
if we
it?
find this on it?
You can do it, if you find it, you can just let us know, and then if you burn it, yeah, that would solve the
Okay, so you
issue.
should look at it.
Sure, yeah. They're trying to get better at bringing less infested material in, and now those growers in North Carolina know that we're looking and destroying the plants, therefore they're being a little bit more particular about what they send to us. Because Michigan cares, Wisconsin cares. So when enough states start to care and destroy plants, then they care. I'm sorry. Other questions?
Can they just treat it with an insecticide or to destroy the plant?
So when it's grown in the field, they can treat it with an insecticide. Thank you very much. In the field, it can be sprayed with insecticide.
So did you say that it's in this scale is in the forest as well? It's gotten into our hemlock forest?
When we were doing a survey, we did find it in the landscape. So it is starting to become established, but we're trying to monitor for it and help control it.
How was it spread?
Birds land on trees, and the scale has a crawler stage, so they're not covered by that cuticle their whole lifespan. They make babies underneath there, and then those babies come out and are called crawlers, and they crawl around to a portion of the needle and start to feed. And those crawlers are then actively moving around. But if a bird lands on that tree, they crawl onto the bird jumps to another tree, they crawl off, and so they're moved by birds, by wind. Birds are the main way that scales like this move. So see how tiny they are? And again, this has 2 generations per year, which does make it difficult to control. And of course, the farther south you go, the longer growing season you have. So it is very difficult, we know, to control in the southern portion of the United States. But we're trying to keep it out of Indiana and not affect our native hemlocks. All right, one more before spotted lanternfly, and I see we're already getting short on time, but hornbeam rust, this new random rust disease that we found in Indiana last year as well. It affects ironwood, European hop hornbeam, and hop hornbeam. So you've all seen probably rust with cedar apple rust, either on the cedars or on any of your rosaceae plants, your hawthorns, your crab apples, your actual eating apples, perhaps. So it's the same type of issue and disease as a rust. And so you're going to have these orange pustules on the back, and then it's going to slowly kind of just degrade and yellow the leaves over time as that rust is taking out chlorophyll and invading the cells of the plant. It has been found in Indiana in 2024, again, in the Bloomington area. It happened to be found, and we've not found it anywhere else since then. But we're still actively looking for it in any of the hop hornbeams or hornbeam plants. But it's mainly been in the southern portion of the United States. It was first found in Florida back in 2018. And it was affecting some of their plants. And then we found it in 2024 in Indiana. So look on any of your ironwoods in the woods. If you own a set of woods, ironwood's going to be a native species in your woodlands. Hornbeam or European or hop hornbeams are going to be in your landscape beds or any of the gardens that you may go visit. And just look for these orange pustules and let me know if you see them. All right. We'll skip ahead and talk about the big guy. Spotted lanternfly is the big new pest that is problematic within Indiana. So unlike something like the emerald ash borer, which kills an ash tree and it decimates that species of tree, spotted lanternfly feeds on over 76 different plants. Ailanthus being one of them. It does not kill the plant, but what's going to happen is it's going to ruin your outdoor living experience because it's a plant hopper. So it has this piercing, sucking mouth part, and it's going to stick that sucking mouth part into the plant and suck out the juices that are made from photosynthesis. So we know the sugars are in plants. So they're sucking all of that sugar in. Well, they don't need the sugar to live. They need the amino acids. So they take the amino acids, and what do they do with all of that sugar? They go to the bathroom. So when they go to the bathroom, they send out all of this, what's called honeydew, basically a nice word for insect poop. And then that honeydew is very high in sugar content. And then it starts to grow the sooty mold on the plant. So you'll see this with a lot of piercing, sucking insects. Aphids, soft scales are going to have the same type of effect on plants with this sooty mold. So if you see a tree or a trunk or a leaf that looks black, it's most likely an indicator that there's a piercing, sucking insect there. So take a closer look. But the spotted lanternfly has 1 generation per year in Indiana. So right now, hatch is about to happen. We've been monitoring here in southern Indiana for hatch. I was out last week and I did not see it, but most likely this week or next week, they'll be hatching into these little black nymphs with light white color on them. And then they'll move up until June or July and go through different instars, but still be black with white stripes. And then in late June to August, as their instar changes again, as they're getting larger, you're going to get this red coloration happening as they get much larger. And then in July to November, the adult will happen where they actually are a plant hopper. So they will jump up and be able to fly a little bit. They're not strong flyers, but they'll jump up when they're disturbed and they'll be able to move from one plant to the next. They'll start laying their eggs in September and November, and then September through April, they're going to be in these sticky looking, kind of putty looking egg masses. And the egg masses are very, very difficult to find, but they're a way with which we can use to control them. So 1 generation per year, early instars coming out now with this black with white spots on it. And then the adults will come out in July, November. So I got a call last week that somebody had found an adult. So most likely it was some other insect. So I'm going to go out and check it out later next week. No hurry in my mind because there are no adults out at the moment, unless they bought in something from a very warm state that happened to ship it in, but they didn't capture it. So it's me just going out and looking for a needle in a haystack as well in the middle of one of your all's counties, closer to your house. It's out in DePaul, as they called me, but hopefully I don't think it's out there, but we'll see. But I'd rather go look and not find it than somebody see something and not tell me. So we're happy to have false alarms. Feel free to call us with anything that you see or think is strange. We're happy. This is what the adult looks like. They spread their wings. It's actually a very beautiful insect.
Yeah.
Very, very beautiful, except it's very, very destructive. So how does it move? How did it get here? So it was found in 2012 in southeastern Pennsylvania because we imported a bunch of landscape stone from an Asian country and it had laid its egg masses on that stone. And the landscaping stone industry is so large, they import so much stone, and then it goes throughout the whole Midwest from this one distributor in Pennsylvania that brings it in. So it's going to lay its egg masses on all kinds of things, tractor, trailer, tires. It's going to lay it on anything rusty, so trains. So you'll see later on here why trains and the Atlantis along trains is where we're trying to monitor for it. And this is us up in Huntington as we got in our car to leave after treating it at a site in Huntington. It's hanging out on our car. So we have to close our windows. We have to look at our car and make sure that we wipe off anything before we start heading down the highway back home. But it can be moved either intentionally, but most likely unintentionally. People just don't know that the egg masses are on any of their outdoor lawn equipment or track or RVs as they then move into Indiana or through Indiana. Of course, the trains, they just don't know that they're on there. They don't inspect the trains for egg masses. They drive through, they stop, and then they jump off onto the Atlantis. So we first found spotted lanternfly down here in Switzerland County, and a homeowner called us over the 4th of July weekend. So we all came out in 2020. Of course, it was COVID, so we all tried to go out and start to try to survey. And sure enough, there was a large population in Switzerland County. We started knocking on people's doors, asking to survey their property. We walk up to one gentleman and tell him what we're there for. And he goes, "Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Those are all over Pennsylvania from where we moved." So I just said to him, "Oh, where did you live?" And he starts telling me he literally lived over the mountain from where the first known infestation at this landscape stone factory was. And he moved out to Indiana and unknowingly brought it all out. So it can happen just like that, or it can start to happen along rail lines. We're seeing it all along the rail lines being spread, and then it's just being spread as people are moving with their RV equipment in and out of areas. So in 2025, last year, we knew that there was spotted lanternfly in 14 counties in this blue or the shaded counties up on the screen. And then at the end of 2025, we confirmed 7 new counties. So it's expanding and growing as we speak, and it's moving. We're almost 100% positive that the movement to Ohio, Dearborn, Ripley, and Jefferson is all just natural movement from the original known location. And we actually spent 3 years treating that and trying to stop it from spreading. And it just is, I mean, Switzerland County is very rugged to begin with, and then trying to go into the woods and trying to get permission from landowners to get on their properties. You just can't hit everybody. And there's a certain amount of time in the day and dollars to be spent. But now we're finding it in Columbus. We don't know exactly where it came from in Bartholomew County in Columbus, but there's a lot of manufacturing there. Perhaps it was there, some sort of manufacturing. And then we start to see this. These are the known finds, and you start to see, well, that looks like a road or something. No, that's the train tracks. The train tracks are spreading this pest throughout the Midwest and the upper Midwest, and we just can't get control of it. The train folks won't let us on their properties, so we're trying to treat along the edge of properties as close as we can. But in Indiana, in order to spray a chemical on someone's property, you have to have written permission, even as a state agency, unless it's a quarantined pest. So like spongy moth is a pest that's quarantined. Spotted lanternfly, Indiana has decided not to quarantine because it's just moving so fast. No other states are quarantining it besides Pennsylvania. And it's just very, very difficult when you choose to make that political legislative move to quarantine a pest, what can happen. So we rarely try to do that unless it's something we know we can control. But you can see from this map how many new infestations there are. And these are actual verified dots and locations of where spotted lanternfly is. So we know it's spreading rapidly. If we had 7 new counties in 2025. So what do? We do lots of different types of surveys. We have traps that we set out there. The traps aren't so effective when you're trapping insects. Hopefully you have a lure that can attract an insect. And those lures are usually the sex pheromones of the females to try to attract the males but we don't have that yet because this is such a new pest. So basically you have to set it on a tree and hope that the spotted lanternfly is on that tree. There's no lure. So the trapping is not super effective. So visual, we're trying to actually go to pathways. We're looking along the rail sites. We're going to everybody who sells stone in the area, looking underneath the stone, looking for it. They're really problematic in vineyards. So we're going to all the vineyards in the state and giving them information and also doing surveys within a vineyard every year. In each territory, so there are 12 vineyards every year that are being surveyed, some of them multiple years because we just don't have a ton of vineyards in Indiana. And then of course, as I mentioned, we're looking for tree of heaven, but we also have a dog that can smell the egg masses and has been trained to smell the egg masses. So the federal government spent a lot of money in Virginia doing this. We happen to have a gal who works for us who's a dog trainer, and she's like, this would be cool, let's try it. Yeah. And it is a huge success. This dog can find egg masses in a low level population. If you get a high level population of a lot of egg masses, the scent is too strong for the dog and it gets confused. But if you go to the outer edges of an infestation, this dog can be super helpful. Plus, everybody loves a dog. So we take this dog to outreach events and the kids think it's awesome and want to be entomologists. I'm like, yes, think about it. So the dog has been super helpful, but here we go. She sat down and looked, and right here is the egg mass. So we took that picture just to show as she's sitting thinking knows there's an egg mass there. Then we come in and look, and there's egg masses all in this crevice.
Is she well compensated?
Yes, she is. So there's the egg masses.
Wow.
So what are we doing to try to stop this? So we are doing basal bark treatments of small ailanthus, and that's with an herbicide to try to kill the tree of heaven. We're scraping the egg masses. We're literally going out. They were out today in Huntington, Indiana, and scraped 11,000 egg masses. There's 30 to 50 eggs per egg mass. So that's over 500,000 spotted lanternfly that won't survive and come out. But they've been out there. We're well over 1 million egg masses we've scraped in Huntington County alone this year. So we're also treating with an insecticide the trunks of ailanthus trees, and then the spotted lanternflies are feeding on it, ingest that chemical, and they die. So we're trying to attack it in lots of different ways. But it's spreading so very quickly. So egg masses. So see they're under, this is an old railroad tie. Underneath the railroad tie, you go into an area that has like a piece of wood outside. You flip up that wood and there's egg masses all underneath. This is underneath a curb. They just laid their egg masses on the curb. So they're very, very difficult to find, and they lay their eggs in lots of different areas. And I'm sorry, I'm going long. So I'll end here and then answer some questions if it's not going to be too big of a deal. But here, again, are our territories. If you see something, call our number, email our generic email address. You can email me. My email will be up here in just a second. But we also have a new spotted lanternfly reporting tool. We're really trying to use technology to our advantage, where you can go in and enter a lot of data in this online map. It's super easy. And then that email gets sent out to our inspectors, tells us the specific location. If they go out and look for it, they say yes. And then that map on our webpage lights up immediately so the public can know exactly where spotted lanternfly is. So you can see live locations of where spotted lanternfly is that's been reported on our website. And we're trying to use a lot of these technology tools to try to help get better public information out as well. And again, as I mentioned, I and any of my team would rather be called for a false positive of something than to not know where it is, because the sooner we can know where something is, the better. We may not be able to do anything about it. As you start to see now, we went from 15 counties plus 7 in 1 year for spotted lanternfly, but it's still going to be helpful to try to give information out to the local municipalities and homeowners. Here's what's coming, and here's what you need to be aware of. So if you've got questions specifically for these counties around the area, I'm available to be emailed, or that's actually my personal number. So if you want to call me, call 812-786-5217. If you call my personal number, I'll still probably answer. I may not answer as easily. Yes.
Are there any other trees, besides the tree of heaven that they really like?
Walnuts, maples, honey locusts. They like a lot of, you'll see them on a lot of the plants. It's just we can't look at every tree in the woods or every tree in the landscape. So we know that they like tree of heaven. The jury's still out whether they need that for their life cycle or not. Just try to go to the tree of heaven specifically to look for first. We've got some questions, I think, online.
That sounds great. We've got an invasive booth at Halloween today.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any handouts or pamphlets that I can laminate there?
For spotted lanternfly,
Yeah.
I gave a whole bunch to Gina just now. She asked the same question, so I gave her a whole bunch of pamphlets.
Because I have a spotted lanternfly in a magnifying box and I'm planning to have there so people can actually see what
Yeah.
it's like.
Great. Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Do they, you might have answered this already, but do they only, like, one female only lay one?
So they lay multiple.
They lay multiple, okay.
So she can
Okay.
have lots of babies.
Okay,
Yeah, if there's 30 or 50 eggs per egg mass.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
They'll keep laying egg masses from when they're mated all the way up until the first freeze.
okay.
Yeah. So they're active a long time. Yes.
Does he have any natural predators, pests, like other insects that?
At the moment, it's not enough that's gonna do any damage. Yes, birds will eat them. But
Putty
not-
knives,
what's that?
putty knife.
Putty knives yeah, I've got a whole truck full of putty knives to squish egg masses. That's the best way to do it, is to get a putty knife and just squish them and they're dead. Yes.
A question from Zoom. How will the severe cutbacks with the US Forest Service affect Indiana?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's not affecting Indiana DNR Division of Entomology. It is affecting our counterparts within the USDA. So the USDA has had several folks retire and then they've not replaced them. So then their work comes up. So we are getting some funding to do some of that work, but we're still just trying to help facilitate trade for like the exports. The export thing is a federal government situation, but the state people always help. But now there's literally one person doing that within Indiana.
Wow.
And the whole southern Indiana, he retired and they did replace him. So we're covering all of that. So it's not really affecting the Indiana DNR in the way that it is affecting some of the federal governments. That, yeah. Other questions? Yes.
If we think we found a mass of eggs
Sure.
and we call you, do we go ahead and putty knife it, or do we wait for you to show up?
It would probably be best to wait, or put some sort of scale in there as far as like a pencil or your hand and take a picture.
Okay.
To document that. If you find an adult, definitely try to capture it, put it in a baggie, put it in the freezer. Any type of insect you find, just put it in a baggie, put it in the freezer, and then save it for us versus if you say you saw something and then I come out and I have to start walking through all of DePaul.
You ready to get this party started? If everybody could take a seat so we can all get going here. Is there anybody in the hallway that I need to drag in here with my, I need one of those shepherd hooks. Okay, looks like we got mostly everybody here. Welcome to our first meeting here in the Shine Room. Thank you, everybody, for coming and accommodating the new location. Hopefully this is gonna work out well for us. Just a reminder, anybody can bring snacks to this meeting, not just I know we do have a refreshment committee, but anybody can bring a snack. If you feel like you want to make something and bring it at our meetings, please feel free to go ahead and do so.
We still gonna do the Shine Room for future things, or is next month will be impossible?
No, and from now on, it'll be here, unless otherwise noted. Yes, thank you for saying that, because a lot of people, some people didn't want it here. So, you always have everybody on both sides of the fence. The technology is more stable here. Our equipment's right here, so nobody has to drag it over to process. So it's a whole lot easier, so.
Because in the newsletter, it said next month has that process. I saw it.
No, I don't think so. From now on, it's gonna be here. The only one we're not sure of is the holiday party. So, but thank you for mentioning it. That's fine. Thank you for mentioning it. It's a good reminder to us all. Yeah, from now on, we're gonna be here. So, and again, if you want to bring a refreshment to share with everyone, please do. Okay, first thing on our list is Debbie. Yes. Want to hold that or put that? It's up to you.
March meeting. I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the March 3rd meeting that were in the Sunnyside Times on page 2. Sure. And what your name? Sharon.
You can just say Mary. Very fine.
And Mary second. Thank you. Oh, well, it's so.
All in favor, say aye. I'm not good at the particulars, you guys. Yeah. All, opposed? Okay, motion for that. Do you have the name, Debbie? Very good, okay. Mike, you're next. Please the same, wait a second.
Hold on.
There we go.
Do you want to hold the speaker? Do you want to hold everything?
No. Okay. Okay, this is the first, statement that I read off on our, QuickBooks software, so looks a little different, but, it's got all the information there. I'm still working on some of the formatting for the bold numbers and whatnot. But anyway, this is the year-to-date, income statement are also called statement of activity. So for the year to date, we've collected, we've got $524 at the open house on March 10th. We received a $100 donation earlier this year for the Youth Master Gardener program. Actually, we paid one person's dues back because they decided not to be a member, and I collected one person's dues this month, so it's 0. And we got a $10 late fee on the person that paid late. So anyway, Pollinator Day, year to date, we've collected $24,090. Most of that money we collected in March. We collected $18,650 in grant money in March. That was from $8,000 from Duke Foundation, $8,650 from Meta. It goes by different names, but Meta, and $2,000 from Community Foundation just across the highway. So that was that money. We also collected for this calendar year, shout out monies, $851, donations from basically businesses in our community. That's basically what it is. $4,245, and then t-shirt sales $344. So that's the $24,090 this year. We collected for the year $175 in cookbook sales. We call it Tomato Festival, but that's what it is. And then total collections for year to date, basically $24,900. We paid out community outreach. Basically, we bought the ink pens, and there's a couple other small expenses there. Pollinator Day expenses for that we paid this year, $9,299. We'll be paying out a whole lot of money in April towards Pollinator Day. So these numbers will be kind of working themselves out. We had program expenses, 3 different ones, but they come up to $360 for the year. Website expenses, $240, Tomato Festival expenses, $312, and uncategorized expense, that's miscellaneous expense. We got a gift card for Betty Harlan when she retired, so that was the gift card for her. Total expenses year to date, $11,008. Net operating revenue is $13,891. We also had a couple small items. Miscellaneous was $99 interest income, and then Venmo processing charges of $7. So the net revenue, or in the for-profit world, net profit, $13,983. Now, the difference of the money that we've taken in for Pollinator Day this year and what we paid out, we still have a balance of $14,790. So at the end of the day, whatever we don't spend for Pollinator Day coming up this next month is committed money, and it goes over to future Pollinator Days. So it's not our money to spend on other activities or whatnot. So any questions on that? Okay, go to that other one, Lisa.
I just want to thank, did Debbie do all the grant applications?
There's a team of people, but she did a lot.
So thank you to the team of people who have filled out those applications. I have done that myself, and it's not an easy task. They ask you a lot of very detailed information. And we were very fortunate that they took the time to do that, because other than that, we would not have the funds that we currently have. So thank you to that team. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. No, the other one, middle one. If anybody wants to see the financial statements, and I skipped the March financial statement, I just did the year date. But if anybody wants copies of that, send me an email and I'll send it to you. Oh.
Slide from the back.
What one, Glenn?
I'm sure that's not in my, you're not in the.
No, that's not it. The other one. I'll talk a little more. So, one of the big reasons that the Pollinator Day funds are what they are this year. When you go out and apply for grants, you don't know what you're gonna get. So it's like throwing a net at the fish. Sometimes you don't get anything, sometimes you don't get much, but this time around, the meta really, threw it up there. Duke's been a constant contributor year after year. Meta's a new one, and Community Foundation. We've had them in the past, but this, didn't have them last year, and then we got them again this year. Yes, ma'am.
What's Meta? Maybe I'm doing.
That's Facebook.
Facebook. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
It's Facebook.
They have one data center in Jeffersonville, relatively new,
Okay.
and it's called the Jeffersonville Data Center, Meta Jeffersonville Data Center Community Action Grant.
Oh, cool.
And so they're the parent company for Instagram as well.
I think it's on something that did.
Yeah, it's the data center. And all set there.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, we're benefiting. It is the way it is.
How's it for you know, right? I think it's bad. They're making more. Watch it. I'm married. Oh, like this. I fell here. Yeah. Something.
Yeah. Yes.
That's not mine. Okay, this is mine. Okay. This is basically the balance sheet. Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
This is our balance sheet. That's actually as of the end of March. But we had $43,300 in the bank. I've talked to you about before, going to Central Credit Union because of a variety of reasons, but basically all our money in Centra earns money. But we have $29,600 in a sweep account, which earns overnight money. We still use the PNC checking account because that's where our Venmo money and Zelle money goes. Plus, I got about that many checks that I'm just gonna use their checks. And we have a small $500 in Centra's business savings account. And then we have $10,200 in certificate of deposit. So that's where our money is. And all this money, the PNC money doesn't get any interest, but the rest of the money gets interest at varying rates. So the certificate's over 4% rate. The sweep account's about 1.25% rate. So it's easy. It's easy income. You don't have to lift the finger for it. So Also, we had liabilities of $35, which was a credit card charge that wasn't paid before the end of the month, so. We started off with 29,394 on January 1. Right now on paper. We're ahead 13,982. So that brings us up to the 43,377. Our expenses will be real strong on pollinator day for the month of April. We'll have some residual expenses in May. Whatever's left over that we have not spent of the pollinator day money, that needs to stay aside to use on future pollinator days. So any questions on that? The grant money is very specific about using it for the intended purpose only. And we have to account for our expenditures on some of our grants and all like that. So it's not, thank you for your money and do what we want. Any questions? Okay, I'll turn this back over to Shelley. Thank you.
Yeah, just so you guys know, Mike has done an unbelievable job this year. We threw a lot at him by changing banks, adding Venmo. The grants, like he said, require a lot of additional work because there are specifications, we have to track our expenses differently. Because then, although the money comes to us, there's a lot of recording that goes along with it. So my hope is with this electronic accounting system that we're using, that's gonna help make that job a little bit easier and reportable back to Meta, if that makes sense. So all that foundation money or all the grants require something different and it requires a lot of work. And Mike's been doing a great job of doing that for us. Next on our list is the farmer's market. So we have Dave and Mary. And that's gonna be ramping up here soon too, isn't it?
Thank you. Don't want to talk a little bit about the farmer's market. It's the first one starts June 1st up in Jeff. For the first Saturday of June, July, August, and September. We give something away each month. We're gonna give arrowwood, Burnham seedlings the first in June. We're gonna give spider plants away in September. We give bulbs away. We do the same thing at both markets, the Jeff Market and New Albany Market. If you wanna work the Jeff Market, just let me know and I'll be sending out an email next week for sign up. And after I get all the information back, I'll send out a schedule for everyone.
Okay, I do the New Albany Farmers Market. We meet the second Saturday of June, July, August, and September. So our first farmers market booth will be on June the 13th. It's downtown. I think everybody probably knows where the New Albany Farmers Market is down there. We have a lot of fun. We do a free craft for the children, and that brings the parents in. So when the children are busy doing a craft, then we can talk to the parents about Sunnyside Master Gardeners, answering questions for them, that sort of thing. I'm putting in a good plug for New Albany. Sorry, Dave, but we can get as many as 300 contacts in one day. at the New Albany Farmers Market. So we do need a lot of help, a lot of volunteer help. And if you're looking for hours, you can get a good 5 hours in one day at the farmers market. So we'd love to have you come.
Any questions?
Oh,
Just, how do you, who is the contact and how can I contact for that?
Dave Graff is the contact for Jeff. I'm Mary Klein and I'm the contact for New Albany.
Okay, I want to talk to you.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Next on the list is Melanie Posh for the Art Alliance project. She texted me at the beginning of the meeting that she's not feeling well, so she's not coming today. Also, I don't see Beverly here in regards to the Optimist Club and the Butterfly Garden. That was, I'm missing her, but she's not here today, so we're gonna skip over her. Kathy, did you want to go ahead and speak real quickly? And I can just pass this to you. Nope.
I mean, I've already spoken to the group about the Master Gardener program, but, how many people here know a child ages 8 through 12 who's interested in gardening? Wow, what have y'all been doing in your neighborhood? Well, I'm gonna give you.
Go ahead.
This. Well, sure.
Yes, good, Mary.
Yeah.
You know, any kids that might.
We put it on our.
It wasn't our agent. I already put it on.
So
it is on the free Facebook page, you can just share it too.
Okay, that's good.
Yes, and I know I took the flyer to all the Harrison County libraries. I think it's St. Elizabeth, but
We've covered.
I've even put it at the Y.
Yeah.
So,
It's like Ron's newsletter.
yeah. And well, you sent it to the schools as well. Here in Lynn County. Okay. Deb? That's well done. That's good.
All right, so, Mike already covered everything about the grants, and I'm so pleased that they worked out this year. And like you said, you have no idea. So we actually have worked on 5 different grants. One of them, we still will not get the final results until the last week of April, which is just a few days before Pollinator Day. And we're hoping if we were awarded that, they may allow us to use that for next year. So that's been great. Local businesses have been great. But most of all, I want to thank you all because we started out making plans for this year with very, very little money that we had. And I started talking to you all last November about could you all help out for our shout out program that we do from the SMG group here. And between what we collected at the end of last year and what we have collected all the way through tonight, you guys have donated around $1,400 and it's extremely appreciated. A lot of that came in early on when we really needed the money to get started with ordering the things we needed to get the project in order. So there will be signs about the event that will show shout outs from our SMG group at $1,400. I thank you.
Yeah, good for us. Okay, is Justin here?
No, Justin's not here.
Justin's not here. Diane?
I saw Diane. I knew she was here.
Oh, yeah. At the Tomato Festival, of course I'm here. Yeah. Thank you. All right, so. Hi. Okay, so we are working on the Tomato Festival because we have to, it's tomatoes. And particularly right now, we're working on the taste testing booth where we have 12 different varieties of tomatoes that people can try. We have right now starting seeds, we have seedlings, we have about 400 seedlings out there being grown, nurtured along. And we need some more forever homes, okay, for the seedlings. I have, I think I have about 200 some forever homes for the seedlings, but I still need more. So if you have some room in your garden, for some tomato plants, let me know. And we'll go through the list of the different varieties and see what you want to grow. Remember, we only need the tomato festival. Excuse me. We only need the tomatoes from that, week before the tomato festival. The rest of it's all yours. We got some great tomatoes to grow. Okay. So do let me know. There's a sign up sheet out in the hallway for
Come on, Diane, you can answer that question.
no in the garden. No dogs allowed in the garden. We're cats for that.
Or a tomato festival.
That's Swan County. There you go. Anyway, so if you have some extra room in the garden, and let me know, and we can, we'll get you some tomato plants. The plants will be dispersed mid-May, mid-May, because this weather, you don't plant them early, they get very snotty if you plant them early. Okay, so do let me know, and just something else to keep in mind, we've got, other booths that you can be involved in. Of course, volunteer for the event. It's August 16th, Sunday, August 16th. We always need more volunteers because it seems to keep growing. Also, you've been very generous in the past for donating produce and flowers for Tomato Festival, so we appreciate that. That's one of our biggest money makers. So keep that in mind. Gardening goods. If you've got any of those white elephants, people give you presents that you can't use in your garden, whatever, keep them for the tomato festival. That's another good moneymaker for our projects. How many people in here actually grow tomatoes? Okay, so everybody who raised their hand has to enter a tomato into the tomato contest.
Yeah, please do.
It's very important. Cause it's sort of cute, we actually get people from the community who enter, and they are so thrilled to win, when they do, but do enter, and remember, it's a. What do we call it? The votes come by quarters, okay, so get your friends and family in there to vote for you, and just put in, $1, $2, whatever it takes to make you win. We're not, so just, get your friends and family there and tell them what tomato to vote for. Let's see what else. Oh, and also, we have a plant booth, where we sell, plants, or we, have plants for donations, I should say, probably. If you think about it, and I'll remind everybody, later on this summer, when you start the fall crops, I know we haven't, we're still on the spring. But selling kale and all the other cold crops is good. If you're splitting up your perennials, we could use those for the plant booth. But I'll keep reminding you all along. So, any questions?
When you have the list out here in the hall.
Right, the sign up list out there, exactly. Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Next on the list is Jeff, and look, you're just ready to go.
Ready to roll. Thank you kindly. So tonight we are taking registrations for, taking names down, taking payment, if you got it, for the picnic. That will be on the first Saturday in June, that is June the 6th at 4:30 p.m. So we do ask you to come. There are picnic benches to sit on. We'll be at the West Shelter, that's the larger shelter at Perrin Park. If you want a more comfortable chair, bring it with you. So you can do that. Also bring a beverage, so you have something to drink there. And we will also have a plant exchange for those of you who'd like to bring a plant to exchange, or 2 or 3, no more than that, we hope. For every plant you bring, we'll give you a ticket. You can take 1 or 2 or 3 home. So that's another part of that event. The cost is $5 to cover the cost of the meat and also the tableware that night. Mike will be here after the meeting tonight if you want to pay or just get signed up. And also May the 5th, you can sign up at that particular time as well. You can also pay on Zelle or Venmo or send something to the extension office. Questions? Thank you.
All right, RG, you're next.
She's all ready to go. Can you all hear me? Okay, I'm just reminding everybody that, the Farmington tour is exactly a week after our next meeting in May. It's on the 12th at 11 o'clock. And we have to have our money in by the May meeting at the latest, because they have docents that they notify how many people are coming. We have the garden tour, the house tour, and then talk on hemp. It should be a really nice day. This house was built in 1818. And it has 18 acres of beautiful gardens and a carriage house, visitor center. All the tours start in the visitor center. And $10 for anyone 60 years or older, and 13 for everybody else. I know a lot of you are going to be disappointed to miss it because you'll be in Italy. But so I don't know if everyone knows how to get to Farmington. It is very close to Bardstown Road, to the exit off 264 off the Waterson. You take the Waterson exit of Bardstown Road north, and it is just 2 streets going north. There's a huge sign that says Farmington. And when you turn in on Wendell Avenue, you go barely 15 feet and you have to turn right again immediately. And then follow the road, and it goes down this pretty tree lines little road, and then you come to Iron Gate, go through the Iron Gate and park at the visitor center. So that's the information.
Okay. But we'll get directions out to everybody, so for those who are going, we'll. Yeah.
Harry's got a question.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
What time
Is it the tour RG?
It's 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock.
And again, and the sign up sheets out in the hall, correct? Yes, sign up sheets up in the hall. Okay, next is Angela Newton. She was here, but she had to leave. And she was just wanting to remind everybody, we do need items for the SMG booth at Pollinator Day. So if you have plants, starters, garden art, whatever, make sure that you bring it, because we bring everything, the day before? On Friday, the day before here, and then we'll be directed as to where to put all that stuff, so that, again, it's a money maker for us. You're next. Do you have anything?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, if you're bored tomorrow afternoon, starting at 3:30, we are going to weed and mulch the pollinator parking island down there, that some of the interns are gonna show up to start getting some of their hours. So if you're bored tomorrow afternoon, need to get that done. Intern class is almost done. Their test is next Thursday, so they have this week. Yeah, some of us are a little excited because it's 15 weeks, man. Most of them would like to have a mentor. If you have an interest in being a mentor, email me and let me know so that I can think about who to pair you with, because I do need to get that done before they in their final next week. Let's see here. I pulled my stuff up. If you have an interest in helping with the community garden at the fairgrounds, our work days are going to be the 3rd Tuesday and the 3rd Saturday of the month, starting at like 8:30. So you can find myself or Diane down there on the 3rd Tuesday or the 3rd Saturday. And we'll take any help you have, because this month I have to plant apple trees that are being donated to us. So the Cullenborough apple trees, we have donation of 2 of those. So have to get those planted this month. Pollinator Day. If you signed up to volunteer and you did not get an email kicked back to you saying, hey, you signed up, that means you did not sign up properly, and put your email address in the qualtrics. I still have another entry that I looked at tonight that someone signed up and gave me their choices, but did not give me their name or their email address. Therefore, I can't assign them. So do that. There will be a Pollinator Day volunteer training on Monday, April 20th. I amended the times, but I forgot to amend the times in my phone. So an email will go out about that. Let's see here. Savannah Smiles, Kathy talked to me, but if you're interested in helping with Savannah Smiles, Diane and I have met with them. They're trying to start some raised beds, and when I say raised beds, I mean they're like little bitty 2-foot gardens off the ground. At the place on Mount Tabor Road, the church on Mount Tabor Road, so if anybody wants to help with them, they are looking for it. This isn't specific to just the kids there. Savannah Smiles is working with the kids and the adults they're assigned to, whether that is, it's some form of legal guardian. Could be a foster parent, could be their actual parent, but they're all going through something. So this is not just a youth thing, this is a whole family unit that you'll be dealing with. Let's see here. Pollinator Day, if you would like to take a yard sign, please take a yard sign. They're right there, just kind of tell me or email me, probably email me and tell me later on that you took the sign, so I know where they went to. It's just better that way. And then if you want to help with 5th grade watershed, that is May 6th, 7th, and 11th. We are doing the training tomorrow from 1 to 3 if you want to show up and see what it's about before you commit. You can't make it, that doesn't prohibit you from helping me the other 3 days. Just let me know. And I think that's all I have.
You know, what was the third Tuesday and third Saturday? What were
Community garden, so the community garden at 4-H, Floyd County 4-H Fairgrounds, those are work days. So if anybody wants a little something extra to do, we'll take extra hands. Yo.
Are we gonna have t-shirts so we can give them out next Thursday?
Yes, that's the plan. Hopefully we have some of the t-shirts in the tote bag, but we don't have all of them quite yet, so.
So if we get them all in, we will send you an email and I will be up here from 12 to 7. Come get your t-shirt or your tote.
Yeah, if you ordered one.
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday, when we have the interns doing their final.
Wait for the confirmation email, because we gotta get us the shit there.
Yeah. They have a lot of them done that look really good, but yeah, don't have them all quite yet. So I think that's all I have. Sure, that's all I have.
It's John Chena.
Do what I can.
Okay, so then just general business stuff. Karen wasn't able to be here tonight, but Speed Park is in need of butterfly weed and cardinal flower plants, if anybody has them. And she said also, if someone is interested in roses, someone donated a bunch of rose plants for Speed Park. So if you like roses and you would like to take care of roses, she would like to hear from you as well, because they're gonna have a small rose garden over there. And that's Karen Alexander. The sensory garden cleanup is April the 18th from 8 to noon. Again, it's subject to weather, so Justin is involved in that. McCoy's, it has been added to our vendor discount list. They were in the process of being sold, but the sale went through. So there's fell through, I'm sorry. Fell through, so they're still on our vendor list. If you do want a card, Sarah can print you one here at the office.
But we need more than just one person to print it. We need to print it as a whole sheet, which takes like 6 names, 4 to 6 names.
Right, or it is on our website as well, and you can print your own and write your name in it. Whatever works for you guys. I think a lot of people, I know the vendors I've been to, I show them my name tag. They just go ahead and give the discount, so, that's why we kind of quit printing them, because people weren't picking them up, and it took a lot of time and effort to print them all, so. The last item on the agenda was, we were talking, somebody had put on our survey that they were interested in having social time prior to the meeting. So we had kind of thrown around maybe the May meeting, having something, since we're here, and we could have something downstairs, and we could do the gardens, a lot of the gardens that we take care of that are here on Purdue's site. I've talked to Margie. They have a lot going on, so we're gonna wait and do that probably more in the summer months, like maybe August, July or August. That way they'll have a little bit more time to plan. But the thought is that would be a good time for people to chit chat. We'll have new interns by then that are hopefully gonna be attending, get to know the new people, get to know people in our group that you just don't know very well or haven't worked with, so it would be a good little social time. So we're gonna give that a shot, but not till a little bit later. Does anybody have anything else that maybe I have forgotten?
or you would like to share? Any questions? Of anybody of us? Yes,
The
Deb?
agenda, you've got the next meeting in the wrong place.
I do, you're right.
Oh, okay. I didn't-
Thank you. Again, I could use my form. I don't always catch all the changes. Thank you, Deb. That's probably why you thought that it was that process. You probably saw that.
I read it.
I know you did. Thanks, I'm not perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you. So education hours, Deb.
1 hour and the business meeting, half hour.
Okay, so it'd be 0.5, right? I've noticed though, when I've been putting in 0.5, it's like it changes it to 4.9 or something.
If you're using like your phone or something, it's a scroller, so if you touch your phone in a weird way or your
Oh.
iPad, it adjusts it.
Okay, so just be careful with that.
We can adjust that on our end, it's spinning.
Yeah, well, I
Or
put it on my
if you're using the
computer.
phone on your mouse.
Yeah, I think that's what's been happening. So yeah, so just be careful with that. Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Kathy.
Second.
And
Second.
Kara seconds it. All it's Kathy Schrecker.
Yeah, and Kara.
Kara
Bashuska.
Zeus. And then all in favor, say aye. Aye.